Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ashland Select Board meeting for April 2nd. You're going to need to mute your, there we go. A little bit different stuff going on today. Michael Herbert and Jen Ball, our manager and assistant town manager, are both going to be joining us remotely, as is Joe Mignani going to be joining us remotely. And we are kicking off our meeting today. I'm officially calling us to order at 7:02. We have always had, the last number of years, runners that run for the town of Ashland. And as select board members, we'd always get to meet them the Saturday before the marathon. And in chatting with some other people, I said, you know what? Let's let the residents of Ashland meet the people who are running with our BAA numbers, who have to fundraise for our BAA grant program. So I'd like to welcome all of you that are here. We have a few runners here in person with us at the select board meeting room. We have a couple with us online. And they're running right now? Very possible. And every once in a while, if there's something personal that happens for me, I like to, so one of our runners is Joanne Forrest, who is a kindergarten teacher here in Ashland. And she's like, your name sounds familiar. And I said, well, when my youngest, who is now 29 years old, was in kindergarten, I volunteered in Mrs. Forrest's room.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Okay.
Jen says that she can't hear anything.
Oh, okay.
So
Through Zoom, she can't hear? Okay. Can she hear now? You can't mute? Yeah, you should be able to mute your speaker, your microphone. Okay. Okay. I'm hearing myself here. That's okay. I can work with that. That's okay. Back to where I was. So kindergarten teacher, and I had the opportunity to work with her as a volunteer when it was a reading program. So that was a lot of fun to be able to chat with you, and it's so great to know that you're running. So what I'd like to do is, if you are here as a runner, if you could line up at the podium and introduce yourself and why you're running. And the other reason I wanted to do this is all of these runners are raising funds for Ashland. And sometimes that can be a hard thing to raise funds. So if you know these people and maybe you didn't know they were running, you might be willing to donate and help them raise their funds, which then come back to support what's happening here in Ashland. Now, before we have all of you start and the people online, we actually have one of our board members who is running.
I'm not starting this.
Yes,
you
are.
are going first. But I will say, Madam Chair, that to add to your pitch, even if you don't know these people, you should give them money. And with that, I think we'll call the first person to the podium.
Okay. So go ahead, step up, Nancy, introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself and why you're running.
So I'm Joanne Forrest, and I'm a kindergarten teacher here in Ashland. I've been teaching kindergarten for 25 years here in Ashland. It's been a long time, but my entire school career has been here. And I've met so many families, loads of families, so many children. Those that I've had come through my classroom, but also families that I just know through Ashland who have either volunteered in my classroom or I just know from being in school. So I've always loved running. Running has always been my favorite exercise, and I ran Chicago Marathon 3 years ago, and it's always been a dream to run Boston. While I love running, I'm not that good of a runner that I would ever have qualified for Boston, so I'm so thankful to Ashland for having the opportunity to run for Ashland and get a bib through Ashland, but also, obviously, way more so, to be able to raise money for the town and for the families and the kids. And I know so many, Susan shared with me so many of the grants that go out to the families and the kids and all the different organizations that benefit from the BAA grant program. So to be able to raise money for them and have all those opportunities and things for those families, all the families that I've known, and families hopefully still to come, because I'm not retiring yet, so families soon to come. So I really, really appreciate the opportunity to run for Ashland, and I really can't even imagine what it'll feel like to run through Ashland on race day, having known so many people. So I really appreciate it, and thank you. And thank you to everyone out there in the Ashland community, and those who have supported me already, because I feel like I've gotten so much support from so many different people. Some names I don't even know, and I've donated, and it's so uplifting to know there's so many people willing to donate. So thank you to everyone for donating to that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Joanne, I just want to take a minute and just say thank you to you as well for all that you've done for Ashland's children. As a family that has had a child to go through your kindergarten class, it was just a remarkable year for my granddaughter, and I thank you for, I know how many families would stand right here with me and say that. So thank you for
Thank you so much.
being
And
a great teacher for us.
thank you. It means so much to me. While I don't live in Ashland, it feels like home. Sometimes being here feels more like home because I spend more time here than I do at home. So it really is like a second home, even though I don't actually live here. But thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Great.
My turn?
Yes, please.
It's a tough act to follow. I'm Tom. I live at 121 Howe Street, and I'll be brief. Some of you know my wife. She volunteers for just about everything in town. Ms. Bennett, you know all three of my kids. They've been through. They're pretty good. No, they're real good. And I sort of keep a low profile. I kind of lurk in the background behind my family. I'm like the black sheep of the family, but this is sort of an opportunity to do something big and important, and that's what it means to me. I'm just an ordinary guy with this opportunity to do something extraordinary. We're all so lucky to live in this town on the marathon route. It's great. I've written about this, but I'm a huge fan of the marathon as a spectator. I never really thought I'd run it, but I threw my hat in the ring this year, and my name got pulled, and I'm just so grateful. That's it. That's really all I had to say. And pardon my appearance here. I actually just ran. And it's not, I didn't plan it that way. But it takes a huge amount of time. I don't want to embarrass myself. So that's why I'm here. It's, more than I already have anyway. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
I'm Maggie. I'm an oncology nurse at Beth Israel in Boston. I graduated in 2019 from Ashland. I ran the marathon last year, and it was such a good experience, not for Ashland, but I wanted to do it again. Both my parents are marathon runners. My dad's run about 12. My mom ran 1. So I wanted to check it off the bucket list, and then I had such a good time last year. I wanted to do it again, so I thought I should do it from the town I'm from.
That's
Love
great.
it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Thanks for
Maggie.
having me.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Talita, and I live in Ashland. I've been here for 5 years. Yeah, my husband and
That's okay.
Please
We all check
forgive
with
me.
people, you know.
Yeah, I'm little like my brain's not functioning at this time. My husband and we both are marathoners, and we met because of the races. So
That's so cool.
it's a story that started with the running. And I'm so thankful that I got pulled to run for Ashland. And actually, I had to defer the Boston Marathon because I found out that I'm pregnant. So I had to, Susan knows because I had been back and forth with her with emails, and Lorna. So they sent me some emails, and then I could defer to 26 or 27. So I'm still here because I'm really grateful for Ashland and for all the board. And I'm expecting twins. So it's double trouble.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot to do for an excuse not to
Get it
run.
done.
And I tried. I asked the doctor if I could run slower and maybe walk and run. And he was like, it's a no, hard no for you. So I had to defer anyways. So, but it's not my first marathon, but it's my dreamy marathon. So I'm deferring, and I'll run next year or 2000.
We'll see how you're doing. When are you due, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm doing,
When are you due? When are the babies expected?
September.
Okay. Yeah, you might not be ready next. Yeah, we'll
No,
see.
Yeah, the beginning of September. So the doctor said, oh, probably you were gonna run only in 2027. And I was like, okay, but I'm gonna see how it goes, and maybe my husband can help
I do
me.
have to say, there's a woman on my block who I know, and she ran through her pregnancies. I see her walking with her children all the time, so you never know. But
never
we'll keep
know,
a spot
right?
for you when you're ready.
Yeah, and I'm still living in Ashland, so I'll be
Yeah.
around and I'll watch you guys.
There you go.
2 Ashland citizens you're bringing into the world.
There you
That's
go.
pretty
Right.
important.
Right,
That-
and probably
that's
going to
great.
the kindergarten in the future. Thanks, guys.
What a story to tell them.
And we will have you back next time.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely,
For sure. I'm not
definitely.
giving up.
When you are ready, we will make sure that one of the spots is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Through
Thanks.
Boston Marathon, okay.
Oh, okay.
Nice, nice. Oh, okay, that's even better. Great, great, okay. We're gonna jump online. I know we have at least one runner on, two, Michelle and Allison, okay. And can we have them do their cameras or not? Allison and Michelle, we're trying to see, with everything that's been going on, we have been restricting people putting their cameras on. What
Susan,
we're-
if you make them co-hosts, they can do both.
Okay,
And then you can just undo that if you're after. But that's the only way I think the video works with the settings.
okay. Okay, we're gonna, Allison and or Michelle, whoever wants to unmute and just introduce yourself. I mean, both of you are pretty well known, but let's unmute Allison and have her start. Okay. Can Allison?
Hi.
There we
No,
go.
yeah, it wouldn't let me do it.
Okay.
I would be there in person, but I have a really bad case of pneumonia.
Oh
So
no,
I am
Allison.
sitting in bed. So Michelle is going to do most of the talking. I'm just really grateful to be running. If you don't know me, I worked for WACA-TV for 10 years. I used the BAA grant to put on summer movie nights at the Corner Spot for 4 or 5 years before COVID. And it's like the last little check mark on what I can do to give back to the town. So I'm just so excited that I get to do this with my sister.
That's great. Feel better.
Thank you.
You got a couple weeks to be recovered.
I know, I'm real scared.
Oh, sorry.
Can always go real slow, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least it's not my first.
That's true. Michelle? Can we get Michelle unmuted? Are we getting Michelle unmuted?
Michael.
Oh,
I do.
Jen or Michael?
Okay,
We can hear you, Michael. We're trying to get Michelle's.
It should work now.
hey,
Yes.
Okay.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Yes. So like Allison said, we're both super excited to be running. So as you know, I mean, I have worked through Ashland Cable as well, doing some interviews and some other things. Was not as involved as my sister was, but we actually both ran Boston in 2019, and I did get a grant through, or I did get a bid through Ashland to raise money, and I'm just super excited to be able to do it again. It's such an amazing experience, especially living in Ashland our whole entire lives and growing up watching the marathon, just watching everyone run by, the energy. Yes, it is at the start of the marathon. Everyone does have a high energy, but it's just an amazing experience going through just the whole experience of it. So we're super excited to do it again, and hopefully Allison will be feeling better at that point. We are also doing a couple of events in the town of Ashland coming up. So tomorrow night, I'm actually hosting a trivia night at Clover Road Brewery, and we're kind of doing. I host trivia at a rock climbing gym in Framingham. So we're doing a trivia night at Clover Road tomorrow night, and then actually next Thursday we are doing a event with the Ashland Ale House. They were very nice to be able to offer to be able to help us raise money as well. And because it is going back to the town, we're really excited to get um, these two businesses in town to kind of help us out, but also help the town out and just raise money. And also just to get people into those businesses. I know Clover Road is new, so it's a great place to go and check out. Yeah, so I think that is all I have. Thank you so much, and we are super excited to be running the marathon again.
Great, thank you both. And Allison, feel better, and good luck both with your fundraisers, and good luck to everyone who's raising funds. But before we finish this, we do have one more runner who's going to give us a little bit of her story as to why she's running. And go ahead, Makita. You were not going to get off the hook. Come on.
Well, no, I was just having a lot of fun listening to my Strava buddies here. Y'all keeping it real, keeping me motivated. But hey, Allison and Michelle, I remember interviewing you for WACA when you ran your first marathon, and that was a lot of fun. So I am really looking forward to being out there with everybody. But yeah, I threw my name in the hat. I love running, but I never in a million years thought that I would be running the Boston Marathon. When I was a child, I did not grow up in Ashland, although I've been here only for 23 years now, I think. But I did not grow up in Ashland, but I grew up in a town along the marathon route. And the Boston Marathon has always been a part of my life, my family's life. I have family members who have run. To be able to be pulled for the lottery was just a surprise for me. And I think I'm actually a substitute. Like initially, I wasn't drawn, and then my name got pulled out of the hat again, and I came up. I'm just really grateful that I'm able to do this for the town, raise money for what we know are going to go back to the citizens here and improve lives, improve quality of life. As I joke with my fellow select board members, this town has got me mind, body, and soul now. Emphasis on the body on April 21st, but I'm just really proud and grateful to be able to give back to the town in that manner too. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all out there.
Great, great. Any other comments from any other board members?
I just want to say thank you for you guys are doing the hard part. Like this is the marathon and our grant program is actually my favorite thing that we do here. Like it is so awesome. We're in the middle of soliciting grant applications now, and so any 501c3 that either benefits Ashland residents or is an event for Ashland residents or anything like that, they are eligible to apply for up to $4,000 or $6,000 over 2 consecutive grant cycles. And we hear from people all the time at the difference that this makes. So, like for instance, a lot of times we'll like for instance, the library. I'm looking at Tom, but the library had requested funds for their golf event, their
yes.
mini golf event that just happened this last weekend. And so we granted them the funds basically for all the costs of the mini golf, and then all the proceeds from the event goes back into the library programming, which is amazing. We help a lot of the youth sports in town. And our goal is always to try to figure out how we can make things more affordable for the kids and benefit the most amount of people we can. So Claudia and I are the subcommittee that reviews all these applications, and it makes me so happy when we're approving $20,000, $30,000 or so in these funds that goes right back to the residents, and we get the letters back from from all the organizations that just say this has made just a real difference, because they don't have access to a lot of these types of funds. So, so thank you for all that you're doing and all the training, and just know that it's all worth it, because we'll all be cheering you on Marathon Monday. So.
Going to go to Joe and then Claudia. Joe, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I'm not here with you physically, but spiritually I am. And I'd love to thank all the runners who are going to participate on the 21st. I am not a long distance runner, not have I ever thought about running long distance in any way, shape, or form. But I appreciate your effort and your sacrifice to this program. And like Brandy said, a lot of groups within the town are recipients of some great monies and some great access to do things, especially the kids in town, especially if they don't have the funding to be part of different sports programs that are like some of these monies are used to help pay for their registration fees so they can participate in all these different programs. And some of the programs that are offered also within the school system as well. So thank you all very much for your sacrifice. And I'll be cheering you on the side of the road for sure. So, but thank you all very much for your sacrifice. It's greatly appreciated for sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Claudia?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you as well, because, you know, when Brandy was talking about how, you know, we have the pleasure of giving away the money that you've earned for us. So I just want to say, wow, I hadn't thought about it like that. But, you know, who doesn't like giving away money, especially if it's not their own? So I just, so really, no, thank you. I know the hard work that's involved in raising the money, and obviously getting your bodies ready for such a long run. My daughter is running, not for the town, because the slots were full by the time she figured out she wanted to run. And so she wasn't even in the hat. So I know what it takes, but I will be out there. I hope to be a few places along the road, so I hope to have an opportunity to see you all, and send us a picture of the babies when they come.
Yeah, keep us posted. Keep us posted.
Indeed.
Congratulations, everybody.
Well, thank you all again for being here. Thank you all for running, and hopefully we'll see you again on Saturday, the 19th of April, where we can have some breakfast and bring your families. Just let Susan know who's coming, and we can celebrate you and help fuel you before you actually run. Great. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Yes, can you come to the microphone and identify yourself, please? That's okay. Take your time.
Are you able to put the people here, or just this?
No,
here?
you just talk to them. Talk is like you're talking to us.
Hi. Sorry. My name is Linda Alberini Compton, and I grew up in Ashland. This is Pearl, my service dog. I grew up in Ashland from 1966 to 1989. My parents were Bob and Sue Alberini. My dad was a on-call firefighter. He coached hockey, coached baseball. My mom coached softball. She was a lunch lady. We walked everywhere.
Hold on a second. Mark, don't pet it. It's a service so that he stays with her.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry.
No. Do what you need to do. It's okay. How can we help you get through this?
Joey's up there. He's helping me.
Yeah? Okay.
Deep breaths, Linda.
Oh, you can see me over there.
Yeah. He can see you.
I came to Ashland about a week and a half ago to help a friend who was in the hospital. We were friends since third grade. Some of you may know her. Her name's Karen. I live in North Carolina now, as my parents do. She didn't have a ride. She has a non-malignant brain tumor. And we grew up together, went to school, high school, we were the clan. Susan knows. Susan and I played softball together. My auntie Diane Morse, and my mom coached. I'm amazed at how this town has turned out. I came to this meeting just to hear how my town was progressing. I've been here, and as some of you know, I've been greeted by some with open arms and hugs and love. And I've been shunned by others, and that's okay, because I'm an Alberini. I'm proud to be an Alberini. I am proud of this town. You know, when you were talking about, can you hand me my drink, please? Somebody? Okay. I remember I had a brother, Paul, who was 2 years older than me, and we used to go. And he would take one bank, I'd take the other bank. The raffle tickets were 3 for $1.50 each. You know who won every year, right? Who got the Schwinn bikes? Who got the TV from Dave's TV? We did. Nobody would say no. Everybody knew us, and it was $1. And they'd give us one, like on Saturday, and then the next Saturday, and then we knew who they were, and they'd just give us $1 and say, put our name on it and put it in the bucket. We went to games. This was a beautiful community. And I see the beauty coming back. I am not a runner. If I'm running, it's because something's on fire or I'm hungry. You know, that's why I'm running. I'm like Joey, you know. I was a first baseman and a shortstop in a short field and a pitcher. Yeah, I'm not running. I ain't running. But I am just so proud of people like Susan Mortensen. Let me tell you guys, you have one hell of a leader. She kicks ass for this town. Just as we did, didn't we, Susan? We kicked ass. We took names after. Keith Roby, I love Keith. Everybody, you know. And I'd like to get back involved in this community. My mom is 78 years old. She has Lewy body dementia and stages. You see, my parents moved here. My mom was in England. My dad met her there, and she came to this country when she was 17 with nobody. Diane Morse, Auntie Dada, she was our rock. Uncle Willard Morse. The clam bakes, the 4-H. My dad said, I asked him why he did this, because he did to do duty. And we loved it, because, you know, my dad was from the old school, right, Joey?
Yes, he was.
Are you awake?
Oh, I'm awake. I'm listening.
And when he went on duty, we were like, yay, because we get to sleep in Mommy's bed. But when we heard that horn, you know, You know, and Joey and I talked yesterday, and you know, the commitment that this community gave when I was here. You'd be out at a bar, out to dinner somewhere, and you'd hear a call, and everybody was there. There was no cell phone, there was nothing. Now I came home on Water Street when we were in that, so home. Dinner, finish your plate. Go get the vegetables in the garden. We're going rabbit hunting tomorrow. I didn't go rabbit hunting, the boys did. But, and I see that in the community now. I see gardens. I see Stone Park. And it's beautiful. Never did I think. My parents bought that house. I think they paid $14,000 for it. It was the yellow house. Remember the yellow house? And they sold it for $147,000 when they moved to North Carolina almost 30 years ago to be with. I have 2 beautiful sons. I had 3. But that's okay. My sons are 31 and 29. My parents are great-grandparents. There's 4 generations of Alberinis. We have a picture. His name is Luca. My parents are devout Catholics. These rosary beads were blessed by Pope John Paul II from Father Foley, because my dad was an usher. Anyways, I'm also a stage 3 colon cancer survivor. I should be dead. And I know why I got cancer. You know what I drank. You know what I played in. You know where I walked through. I still whisper to this day because everything was a secret in this town. Don't tell anybody. Get in trouble. I hated God. God was all-fearing to me, not a loving God. You do that, God's going to get you. You do your eyes like that. When I was younger, this is new for me, these tics. Sorry.
Do not apologize.
But what I'm doing here, I came to get my friend, and something went awry because she's from Ashland and she's very sick. Alcoholic, drug addict. You know how we are. What do you call them now? The counties. I was amazed. Halfway into the drive, she's so fucked up. On drugs, she's at Boston Hospital, has nobody to come pick her up. Not why, you know. She was there for 5 days, nobody visited her. I love her. She was the first girl I ever heard. Bright red hair, right, Joey? Right? Remember Karen telling me? Woo! She's crazy. 3rd grade, the first girl who I heard swear, we were walking home and she was on one side, and she goes, "See you later, F&A hole." And she was in the 3rd grade, and I was like, oh my God, she's cool. I want to hang out with her.
She would have been in trouble in my office.
Yeah.
But I would have been loving.
Yeah, it's just like, but that's just the way it was. And that poor person is just a poor letter word. So was love.
Linda, I just want to say thank you for coming and sharing with us tonight. And, you know, what a powerful story. And I think probably we all know the Alberini name in town. If you've been in town for very long, you know the Alberini name.
Mhm.
Well, Linda, I just want to follow up with what Claudia said. Thank you for coming to speak to us. And if you, okay. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh. She found the dog owners. Stop petting. Oh, wow. Very pretty. Sit. You sit. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Okay, go back. Go back. Go back. Oh, oh, nice sit, but go ahead. There you go. Thank you. You are very welcome. And yes, yes. Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to open it up to other citizens' participation, if there's anyone else who'd like to participate, and then we will jump into the rest of our agenda. Oh, no, we actually were just starting. You got us at the beginning. Do not apologize. You're okay. No, no, no. Do not apologize. You are fine. That's okay. That's okay. You're fine. Don't worry. Mark, why don't you go ahead, and then we'll get further into our agenda.
Mark DeSoni, 119 Main Street, lifelong resident. Linda, thank you for being you.
Mhm.
It's about time people like you come up and say what you feel and be proud of who you are. This is why I do the job of citizens participation. It's people like Linda and Joe who listens, who takes in these people too at the time. You just don't see them enough, and when you do see them, you feel proud that they were in the same era that how we grew up. Yes, this town was unique, secreted sometimes in ideas and reputations and stuff like that, but if you have to live through it, it hurts. And Linda has gone through this her whole life, her whole family, and the reputation must have been terrible at the time, going through it here from the town, over from anybody. So Linda, thank you. Okay. Come back up to 2025. And I'm here to ask about the future of this town. I know the comprehensive plan had a subcommittee meeting this past Monday that was sparsely partaked. There was only 5 people there. My question, what's the future of the comprehensive plan if it's only going to be part-time taken? Can I ask who's on it?
Yeah, I can respond to that, Mark. So that subcommittee was specifically put together so that we're trying to get some things done for the comprehensive plan in regards to review of the strategies as they were associated to the goals. And it was specifically just 5 people who had the time and the energy to come together to finish reviewing the strategies that we had worked on at our previous meeting. They will then bring that information back to the consultant, and then it will come back to the main committee for review later in April. So the comprehensive plan is still very much moving forward. The majority of the people, I mean, everyone who is on the committee is working toward getting the comprehensive plan completed. We are working with the consultant, and they are probably going to be coming to present a preliminary draft of some of it to the select board meeting in the middle of May. And the goal will be to finish it through the summer with input from the community and then present it to fall town meeting. And if not fall town meeting, then next year in spring. But it's definitely moving forward. We are, I mean, just speaking for myself, but I believe I can speak for Brandy, we are committed to getting this done and having a plan that moves Ashland forward and puts us in a position to work on things together.
And I'm still committed. My things, my actions, getting all committees put together
Yep.
to get the town to be stronger get the pressure off the property tax, so the town can be a focused, fun and attractive. And just before I do sit, again, Linda, don't change. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mark.
The one thing I would add, Mark, just, you remember the last big meeting we had a couple weeks ago where we had that long list of over 90 strategies, and we only got through less than a third of them. So that subcommittee was going through the rest of them and making recommendations to the rest of the committee.
Yep.
And I think it was 35 pages or something crazy like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot left to go, but
Yep.
but it's the whole committee's going to be working on that the next meeting. So.
Great. Runners, do not feel like you have to stay.
gonna say.
Thank you so much for being here. To be able to see you in person now and
Good to
have
see you, Maggie.
the community see you has been really exciting, reconnecting. So good luck. And like I said, we'll see you Saturday.
Are you going to run home?
Bye. Thank you
you.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, good luck.
Good night. Good night.
See you the, post baby.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Okay. Those are such the good things. Like, those are the feel good, you know.
Mhm.
Okay, you can't leave, Makita. Sorry. We are moving on in our agenda to our old and new business. We're going to review the town meeting warrant. Town meeting is Wednesday, May 7th, starting at 7 p.m. at the Ashland High School. And I believe Jen is going to take us through the warrant where it stands right now.
Yes, and I think you have an updated version. Yeah, okay,
We
great.
do.
Yeah, so the bylaws were a little bit messier, and Lisa and I were working on them, and I had a little version control on the last one, so I just wanted to make sure you had what you needed. So I'm just gonna pull mine up in that way. Okay, so if we
Joe,
always
did you get a new electronic
Oh,
copy?
you probably
The only one I had was the one that was attached to the agenda that Sue brought out, mailed out.
Okay, so you don't have the updated version, Joe. We'll make sure you get that. So if you have any questions,
Okay.
as she makes, just note that it's because we weren't able to get that to you yet.
Yeah, Joe, when you
Not-
see it, once we get to the bottom, once we get to the back, articles, it's the same exact language, it's just how we showed it.
Okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Great.
sorry about that.
Okay,
No, that's okay.
Okay,
So
Sorry for
article,
making it difficult for you guys.
that's
Fine.
okay.
so Article 1 is, town reports. Article 2 will be fiscal year 26 budget. Article 3 is our OPEB trust, so we'll be transferring $375,000 into the trust. I'm holding a spot for Article 4. I should say actually at the beginning, I was hoping to close the warrant. When we initially talked about the timeline, we were sort of hoping to close it early this year and then really work on the warrant book. Given the fact that we're sort of meeting at tri-board, we have a couple of unanswered questions. So this is right here when you see the dollar sign just empty, we'll probably have some conversation around that, so that I'm just holding that there. So a transfer from the sped stabilization account. Our annual consent article that we have every year is Article 5, I believe. Article 6, we start to get into the CPC articles. And so they have an annual consent that sort of just lays out the annual appropriations and the payments to the several bonded projects. So Oak Street, the Fields, Warren Woods, and Valentine. And then CPC actually has 3 new projects. The first one is for the Ashland Arboretum, and that's $500,000. I think we talked about this one at the last one, but they voted last night to approve it. Their Article 8 is to do a project with the town clerk to digitize documents and preserve historical documents. And that's for $110,000 out of the Historical Resources Reserve account. Article 9 is for additional funds for the dog park. I think we talked about this last time, but we went out to bid. Our bids came in a little bit higher, and in order to be able to purchase the shade structure and some other items for the facility that the Stanton grant requires, we're asking for additional funds of $60,000.
And Jen, does that include the maintenance, or is that still going to be separate? Because I know that there was a talk about like having a maintenance.
Yeah, the
plan.
under,
Yeah.
the, yeah, go ahead, you can answer, Jen.
Yeah, so maintenance, CPC won't cover maintenance. We have a maintenance agreement, and the dog park committee has agreed to do fundraising for, you know, the waste bags and other things that may come up.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Article 10 is accepting a Mass General law that will allow our assessor to capture new growth through June 30th. It's an act of 1989. This was sort of recommended from our new assessor.
How is this different from how we do it now, Jen?
Michael, can you take that one? I think it allows us to extend the time period in which we are able to capture new growth throughout the year.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah, you
Article-
can, go ahead.
Sorry, Article 11. So last town meeting, it was actually, let me just, so actually last annual town meeting, we appropriated or authorized $4 million for the ozone project. This is to increase it additionally by 2 million. So we're getting estimates now a year later that it's going to be 6 million.
So quick question, because
For sure.
the authorization says in my version 4 million here.
So it was previously, so
we have
to provide an additional to the previous authorized, yes. And we'll make sure, this has yet to go to bond council. So normally for anything borrowing, we send it to bond council to make sure that it meets all of the needs for the borrowing. So this might be tweaked a little bit, once they look at it. But it means, you know, be a total of 6 million. So we already have the authorization for 4 million, and we're asking for an additional 2.
No, that's not how it is in the version that we have. It says 4 million.
In the
and-
paper version that Diane handed us, it does
Does it?
say, or otherwise provide an additional 2 million to the previously approved 4 million authorized in Article 11 of the 2024 annual town
Okay,
meeting.
because that's not in this, sorry.
So the link isn't updated.
The
No.
folder isn't updated.
No, it's not
Okay,
updated
okay.
yet. That's why
So-
that's why Diane gave us the paper copy.
She gave you a.
She gave you a paper
okay.
copy as well.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it didn't get up in our original documents, it wasn't there,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, we have that. Yeah, that's the version control.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was
Sorry.
gonna be my
Yeah,
question, so
yeah,
thank
so
you.
the
Thank you for the update.
The one that's in our packet that we received previously does not have these updated changes that
Oh,
she's
okay.
taking us
I
through.
thought Diane thought she had put it in the folder, so I thought that it's in a different folder.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries.
Something I wanted
Yep.
to talk to
So
you
when we did that tour, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, but when we did that tour of the water treatment facility plant,
Yep.
I remember we discussed the $2 million, so this 4 million is
we-
in addition
No,
to
no,
the.
no, no. So when we did the tour a year ago, the discussion was $4 million for the ozone project. They've now gone out to bid, and it's going to be a $6 million project.
Okay, so
they're
that's the
asking for an
additional.
additional 2 million in appropriation to
Okay.
go with that 4 million to do the project. And
Okay,
when you
got it.
get the revised version, Joe, you'll see that.
Okay, thank you.
I thought
Appreciate
after we had approved that it was a faster moving.
That's what I thought. I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be done, so it would.
Well,
be
so
good.
yeah, so it was we did we immediately hired the engineer and the designer. So
Okay,
the 4 million initially included funding that would be for engineer design. So that's happening right now. But as we've gone through that design process, they've done updated estimates to the project, and that's where the additional 2 million comes in.
Yeah,
Good.
because I had thought that the filter itself was $1 million. I don't know why, but it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is Hopkinton gives us 25% of it. So
That's
now
correct.
will they pay 25% of the additional 2 million as well?
That's the intent, yes. So we'll have to update that that,
Okay.
that agreement, but that's the intent. And there,
Okay.
I believe there's already been initial discussions about that,
Okay,
Okay.
but that's our intent.
thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
Good question.
Okay.
Before I just go on, Joe, I think your host, is it possible for you to, unmute Michael?
I'm sorry?
You're the host, it looks like, on the Zoom, and you're the only one that can unmute, I think. Can you?
Really?
Yeah, can
How
you
is
unmute
Joe the
Michael?
host?
I'm not sure, but,
Holy mackerel.
um,
Hey, sure you guys didn't do that on purpose?
There you go. We can hear you now, Michael.
okay. So Article 12 is authorize additional funding for water main projects. So we just did this actually in the fall town meeting or the special town meeting. We appropriated $1 million. We've gone out to bid. Those came in higher than the 1 million. And then when we sort of looked at the capital plan, which I think was presented when Dan Maurer and Brittany went over the rates, I think that was in December-ish, maybe. And it sort of showed that every year they were planning to do $1 million worth of work for water main replacements throughout the town. And so rather than sort of thinking about borrowing every year, we thought if we already needed additional funds to complete the project, let's think about getting an authorization for the entire phase project. And that way we don't have to continuously borrow every year for those projects because we'll have the authorization.
And that's for Article 12, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm on
Okay.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
no problem.
I guess my only, I mean, I understand getting the authorization to borrow,
Mm-hmm.
and this might have to be a discussion for another time. My question would be is, does it make sense to borrow it all now, considering current rates, or do we, I mean, again, might not be a conversation for tonight, but I understand that this article is allowing us to do the additional 3 million, but the question might be, does that make sense to do it all at once?
Right. and we'd
Have the
to-
authority, but look at it. So again, another discussion. But,
Okay.
okay, any other questions on that? Okay,
Nope.
keep going.
Article 13 is our typical I&I article for inflow and infiltration. We're going to actually ask for both phase 14 and 15, and that way we'll have funding to do larger projects that are planned throughout the town with DPW. Article 14 is the establish a local historic bylaw. I will say I've sort of in my draft, and I don't know if that's how it printed. I have kept it in the red line version. Lisa's made some corrections or revisions that I want to share with the historical commission, and so they can see they're pretty small changes, but I just want to make sure that they can see those before we finalize that one.
Okay, so we don't see those red
Okay.
lines yet.
Yeah, probably because it's printed.
Yeah, and it's not in our packet or in the printed version. Okay.
Once the historical commission's reviewed it, could we see a redlined version as well? Is that possible? When
Oh
we-
yeah, I can share
before?
this.
Okay.
The one that I
That'd be
I can
great.
share the
Yeah.
one that I have. I think it's just when you print it, it doesn't. So I
Yeah.
can do that.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, that'd be good to see that red line version. Okay.
Thanks, Jan.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Article 15 is for a land taking for a multimodal trail, and this is a parcel of land on Pond Street that would be utilized by the Upper Charles Trail. This is the parcel that the Upper Charles Trail received grant funding for, and we were hoping to purchase this property. And after sort of a stalled negotiation, we are asking for authorization to take it by eminent domain.
Just if I can add to that, because I know sometimes those, or that phrasing, I should say, can cause a little bit of consternation. As Jen said, this is a property that we had received a $300,000 grant for, and actually had some good conversation with the landowner about, who seemed excited about moving forward in some capacity, but unfortunately, he's gone radio silent. We've sent a number of official correspondences, including, what our intention is if we can't get a hold of him. And so here we are. I should also point out the Upper Charles Trail Committee voted to support this article a few months ago, actually.
Yep. Questions?
Michael, we're not taking the entire parcel, correct? We're just basically taking an easement on the parcel?
Not correct.
Entire
It's
parcel.
The entire parcel,
it
okay.
would be
But-
the entire parcel.
Right, so this is, so again, when they applied for the grant that we received, it was to purchase the entire parcel.
Okay.
And as Michael said, because the owner went radio silent, now we're saying, okay, we're still gonna pay you for the parcel, but we have to do the process of eminent domain because we haven't heard back from him.
Okay.
So we're still using, and it's still the grant, we shouldn't have to use any other funds, maybe except for lawyer fees, to cover the purchase of this parcel. And for people who are wondering, this is the parcel on Route 126 that is across from the Dyke Trail, to the left of the Higgins property.
Okay.
It's so that the trail can cut through and go to the back.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
And
And
can
as
you
far
refresh?
as, oh, sorry, Joe.
I'm
Go ahead,
sorry,
Joe.
Matt. I'm sorry, Brandy, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Can you refresh my memory as to the sale price? Is that the 300,000 or is it more than that?
Well, I don't know we don't have a determined
We don't have an
sale
exact
price.
figure. Okay.
But I believe, the plan is to use just the grant funds. And when they
Okay.
applied for the grant, it was based on the conversations and other work that was done for the
Okay.
value of this property.
Okay, that's what I
Michael,
thought.
something to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think we do have an appraisal done. I wouldn't necessarily want to have that discussion.
No,
Yeah.
no, so,
in
Okay.
Open session,
But-
I think, if this does pass town meeting, then it gets, actually, the town meeting votes to give the select board the authorization.
right, to do the taking, so.
And then I think we'd probably have a more substantive discussion about pricing.
Yeah.
and-
Okay, great. Jen, you can keep going?
Great. Article 16 is the accessory dwelling unit zoning bylaw. This is required by the new state law. This is going through the planning process now, so they'll have hearings. Article 17 is just updating our floodplain bylaw, and this again is really influenced by the new FEMA maps, just changes slightly our overlay districts. So this just outlines that. And then they have a cleanup article for site plan review, Article 18. And it's just really sort of clarifying some language to make sure it aligns with the law. And then lastly is Article 19. So again, another Mass General law called Ollie's Law, I believe, that has updated requirements for kennels. And so while we were doing many of the things that the new law requires, like annual inspections, this new law requires reports to the state, I believe by June or July, and then also increases. So previously you could have 4 dogs and get a kennel license, and now you have to have 5 or more. I think those are sort of the major changes. And Cindy has been working with Lisa's office with this, and then also has talked to Donna Walsh. So everybody is on board with that.
Okay.
And that is the warrant as it stands right now. And so what I'm hoping is that in the next, obviously after the tri-board, we can firm up some of the budgetary articles and then meet with FinCom to have recommendations so that we can close and post it at our next meeting.
Great. Any questions, comments, concerns from the board? Anyone here at the table?
Yeah, I just have a question about the last one. So the kennel, it used to be that you had to have a kennel license with four dogs. Now it's when you have 5 dogs.
5 or more, yeah.
I kind of feel like it should be reversed to be more.
Maybe it is. Hold on, let me make sure
Right, to
that.
be more protective of dogs, right.
Maybe I did reverse it. Hold on one second.
Yeah, it's all right.
No, I think it is that way. I'll look and get clarification though. I think I hit, but maybe I'm just. I can.
Because you would think that they would force a kennel license with fewer dogs if they're doing
Yeah.
something to be proactive about dogs and, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
don't
will
know.
look-
but I'm just, I haven't read it honestly, so I don't know, but
And it's not in our,
It's
not in
just
the
kinda
online
what
packet, it's only on the.
seems to make sense to me,
Okay,
which isn't always, yeah.
Yeah, Cindy's telling me I have it right, so I guess it does go that way.
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to be less and less.
I think, well, they've definitely added inspections and they added reports. So,
guess
So,
I-
okay, so
Yeah.
they've increased the number, but they've added some of the restrictions or reporting. Okay,
All right, so
it's a balance.
there must be something to do with Ollie.
Yes, yes.
Always is.
Okay, Joe, any questions or comments on the town warrant?
No, the only question I have, and I don't have the updated version, was
Yep.
that the last article that I had was the updated bylaw and the site plan review, but so I
Yeah.
don't have that
You don't have
other.
the,
Yes.
you don't have the dog license, okay.
Yeah,
Right,
I'll
you don't
send
have
that
the
one
dog.
to you. I'll send it to
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Thank,
Sorry
thanks,
about
John, I appreciate it.
Great, okay. Next on our agenda, update on the 40B projects. Michael, are you taking that one?
I am.
Okay,
At the most recent ZBA meeting, they opened the hearing for the Waverly Street parcel, that 40B, which I believe is 226 units. And I think, from my perspective, they had a good discussion. They had some comments from residents. Overall, they didn't get into anything too substantive at the time, except at least with Waverly Street, start discussing the peer review process and selecting peer reviewers.
okay.
So moving on to the Main Street project.
I have a question about
So-
61 Waverly, if you want to, before you move on. Just
Okay.
regarding the fact that that was a change of developer in that, did we investigate whether or not we would have the opportunity to go back to Mass Housing regarding this? Because since it is a different project than what we originally had filed a letter with Mass Housing?
We did, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when I was speaking with town council, it seemed like there was nothing we could really do about this, which is somewhat unfortunate. Jen, is that what Pete had relayed to you as well?
Yes. Yeah.
So do I think it's fair? No. Do I think it's right? Nope. But unfortunately, it seems like it is within the foul lines, I guess you could say.
Yeah, so that's really troubling to me, that it feels like, I don't know, it feels like due process or something was missing in that. Bait and switch would be a good way to phrase it. Brandy, thank you. It's troubling that would, and I mean, can we do something legally?
If I remember correctly, we had asked Lisa to at least write something, do some letter on our behalf. I don't know if that was completed. I didn't get a chance to follow up. But as I've talked to other people in other communities, it's like Mass Housing has given their approval, even though it's a different developer and a different plan. Their thought is that it can go through our ZBA process, and if it's not working for us, there could be restrictions, or they could not allow it. Just some of the, as I've seen.
And that wouldn't bother me unless, except for the fact that it's so, and I'm sorry to use a little bit barbed language here, but it's so disingenuous.
Yep.
Yes, the ZBA can deny a project. Yes, they can impose conditions, but every single person at Mass Housing conveniently leaves out the fact that, again, any decision like that a developer felt would make the project uneconomical would in turn be basically appealed to the Housing Appeals Committee, which if you have an opportunity to look through their record over the years, over the decades, you see that they mostly find for the applicant in many of these cases.
Yeah.
Michael, is there a design change in that plan that they
Yeah.
Provided?
Huge,
Yeah.
Joe. They
It's
went
it's
one,
a
right?
completely different project.
It went
Right,
from
so-
multiple buildings to one building, and the entrances and exits were changed.
Right, so that, I understand. I just wanted to make sure that other people, in the community were aware of that. So why can't we send a letter saying that this is not the exact same project? This is a totally different project. And I just don't understand. And I understand that Lisa, is up on all these things, but, our hands are tied with respect to this. And like you said, it's disingenuous, but at the same time, doesn't leave us much opportunity to fight for our town.
It's very frustrating for sure. It doesn't make sense. And this was what I had posed, or kind of the argument that I had posed, was that if part of the process is for mass housing to get an application, submit it to the municipality for comment, and then go ahead and make a decision, I think if you get a new project, doesn't that require another round of comments as well? Like, because the first round of comments are basically null and void. They're inapplicable to.
Yeah,
to
it's- Again, there's a lot of not due process happening in the country right now, but I think we're in Massachusetts, and I think we should insist on due process. And due process would be to follow the process that you just outlined.
So I do think, I do think we could send a letter. I mean, if you would like to send a letter, from the board or on behalf of the board to Mass Housing, I'd be happy to draft something like that. But I don't want to give.
We're all shaking our heads, Michael. So yes, let's
Yeah,
draft
and
something.
I would like it to go to the governor, to the Senate president,
to the House,
to the House.
leader of the House, and to Mass Housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Like I said, I thought we had agreed. I thought we were going to ask Lisa to do something, and I guess that wasn't quite as sternly.
I
said,
just feel
so-
like we've got to fight back a little bit, beyond even anything that can happen with the zoning board of appeals. I think it's we have to just not roll over all the time.
Madam Chair, do we need to take a vote on that to authorize Michael to send that letter on our behalf?
I mean, we can, but I don't. Yeah, let's take a motion, and that way we have some hard, follow-up. So
I'd like to make a motion that we direct the town manager to create a letter to Mass Housing, to the governor, to the Senate president, to the House regarding the change or the lack of process with the change of ownership in the developer of 61 Waverly.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Claudia has made the motion, Joe has seconded. Because we have one person remote, Mignani,
Magnani, aye.
Keegan,
Keegan, I.
Bennett, aye.
Kinsman, I.
and Greaves, aye. That passes 5-0. Michael, if you could get that drafted and
Mm-hmm.
we can get that
You want me
out.
to send it before the next meeting, or would you like to have it before the next meeting, or review?
Let's have it before the next meeting so we can review it and then just send it off. I don't expect much input, but if you could, that'd be great. Okay. Anything else on Waverly Street?
One thing that I thought was pretty interesting too at their presentation was the whole stormwater drainage thing, right? That they had it going into some kind of existing drainage system that doesn't exist. And
I didn't get the opportunity to watch that
yeah,
one yet.
so they articulated in their plans, and I know the plans are very general at this point, but they articulated that the drainage would go into some kind of a storm drain, tie into it on Waverly Street that doesn't exist.
Mm.
Oh, interesting.
It's like
Okay.
I think the neighbors referred to it as a manhole cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Basically,
that's-
it's already an issue, the drainage
Yeah,
there.
the drainage is really.
Okay, so hopefully that's then been identified by the ZBA and then they'll have to update it.
It
Yep.
was identified by a resident.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So as we go through peer review on that, that would be like a priority, I would think.
That
I
and
would
traffic
agree.
and how they have it aligned with the high school,
Yeah, the traffic on
East
East
Union.
Union is gonna be atrocious because quite literally that's an entrance and exit point for the development now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is that intersection there, right, is already kind of problematic when we put the public safety building there, and Joe might know better than I. The intersection, or actually it was when we did the high school way back, right? That intersection, we just kind of Mickey Moused it a little bit because it would cost a lot of money to do anything different. And I think that intersection, Route 135, is the town's responsibility. So the intersection at that time would have been our responsibility if we chose to.
Yeah. And
do
then with the
something.
public safety building, we added the
It's-
permanent
yeah,
lights
it's
and we
only-
did,
right, right.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
did have Pa take a look at that on the engineering design aspect of it. And I know Jen, that was all part of the conversation when we were doing the public safety building. and it correlated with the intersection right at Fountain Street as well, Fountain and Union. So it would be coordinated at best. And if this is going to happen, then this discussion needs to be extended with the new property owner and developer. Because again, this is no different than 1060 Main Street and the projected issues that are going to cause a traffic issue more than they can understand themselves.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Great. Okay. Thanks for that discussion. Michael, 10 to 60 Main?
Yeah, 10 to 60 Main. So they continued with having a discussion about the traffic concerns that have been identified by both residents and our traffic engineer. And I know that the developer, they're also really starting to work on more of the civil aspects or the civil engineering aspects of the project. So my understanding is that our peer reviewers and the ZBA have asked for more information and more answers related to some questions that they had, and they're still waiting for that. I do know that the developer, just after a conversation yesterday, was he was working on putting that information together.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that too, because, I have to say that the meeting, this last ZBA meeting with that developer and the discussion regarding the traffic, I had expected that they would probably come back with a suggestion that the roadway be aligned with, the exit entrance would be aligned with Pleasant Street. That wasn't the case. Our consultant said that the line of sight on Myrtle Street for that exit was, as designed by them at this point, was at the minimum standard. So, I feel like I think we can do better than that. If it's a very difficult intersection to begin with, and I know the other suggestions they made were to, I think it's a right turn only into the Main Street entrance. The other piece of that was all about all the parking issues and the concerns around the number of spaces versus the number of units. And, it's one of their suggestions. There were a couple of what I consider to be kind of wild suggestions, one being that it would discourage people, if there weren't enough parking spaces, it would discourage people from moving there with 2 cars. I think that's absolutely insanity to believe that. I think people will move there and then they'll try to figure out where they're going to park, or they're not going to realize how serious a problem it's going to be until they're there. It isn't a place you can walk to the train station, but you can't be walking to the grocery store. It's not a total, you can't be independent of an automobile there. And I know there was also discussion about having an enforcement person for parking. And I mean, to me, that's a big signal that there's a problem if you have to have an enforcement officer for parking. I know that the Chief Roby spoke to some of the concerns about getting fire and emergency vehicles in there. And then former Officer Keefe spoke about because we have mutual aid, that it could be someone from Framingham responding, and that we would also need to make sure that their equipment could get in. So to me, there's still a lot of issues around the parking and the traffic concerns. And the other thing about the traffic that I think is really challenging to talk about is when you just talk about, okay, there's 4,000 cars that go down Myrtle Street, or whatever the numbers are, they're not meaningful. I think that you need to think about, what does it look like? What does it look like at 8 o'clock in the morning when there's a train and the traffic's backed up past High Street? What does it look like when you have this impact of just even what we have now? It just saying about how many cars pass through doesn't really give you an understanding of what the experience is. And I'm not sure how you capture the experience, except maybe, I know I had talked about getting some video of Pleasant Street and some of the other streets in the neighborhood to kind of show what the experience of these issues around traffic are. I'm not sure if we've been able to do that.
Can I respond to that with respect to what Claudia just?
Sure, go ahead, Joe.
The Road Traffic Study Committee sent a two-page letter to the zoning board before they had their meeting, their last meeting, about all the concerns basically that has been expressed this evening. And part of that had to do with, our own study that we're doing with respect to the number of vehicles in the Quiche line, taking a left onto Pleasant, and their numbers were so skewed. They were misrepresented by the numbers that they were presenting in their 486-page traffic study that they provided us. The other issue, and Michael brought this up a while back, was that the MBTA has also advised all the communities that have trains going through their town that there will be additional train stops coming through. So with those additional train stops, those figures need to be readjusted. And they haven't done that yet, and I don't expect them to do that at all. So the concerns that you all have need to be addressed, and they haven't been. So we're keeping a tab on it. And with respect to those that study, I know that Kevin Langmeyer has been working on that as well, to try to get some video on that with Mike Duga to show what's going on during specific hours, especially the high traffic hours.
I think
important.
getting video is much more powerful than just saying there's, going to be eight more cars or
Yep.
88
Absolutely.
more cars.
Okay, well, thank you, Claudia, and Joe, did you go attend the last meeting? Oh, no, you probably, video. So
Yeah,
thank you
it
for
was video.
attending. I've been, trying to fit everything in, but at least
I
we
know.
know you're there, and thank you for, bringing things forward and bringing up the update to the board. So I think we
Not a
just
problem.
have to stay on top of it. I mean, that's what we have
That's
to
it.
do. So, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else regarding the 40B projects?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay, before we move on, just a couple of quick reminders. On April 26th at 1 p.m., the Historical Commission, Historical Society, and Open Space and Rec Committee are sponsoring a guided walking tour that will begin at Town Hall. That's at 1 p.m. on April 26th. Open Space and Rec are having some plan forums. One is actually was tonight at 6 p.m. They're having a second one on Saturday, April 5th at 10 a.m. And I believe the one on Saturday is here at Town Hall, but you can check their site if you'd like to attend. The Boston Marathon will take place on Monday, April 21st. Temporary road closures on Route 135, so be aware of that. Our scholarship opportunities are now open to any graduating senior from Ashland. Applications are due by May 1st, and I believe that is Joe and Claudia on our subcommittee to review those, so thank you for that. We have a number of volunteer opportunities: Community Preservation Committee, Conservation Commission, Council on Aging, Open and Space and Rec Committee, Stormwater Advisory Committee, Sustainability Committee, Design Review, and that's it. And if you're interested in being on any of those, you can attend a meeting and then fill out a talent bank form.
And then the other thing is, if someone was interested, is there a description of these positions on the website?
Not
or-
right now. We have been
Okay.
told that that is something that people are interested in. Makita and I have talked about that as our subcommittee. It's something that we will work to
Good.
do, but
Yeah.
right now, if they're interested in any of them, they should attend a meeting and see
Or
what
they
the
could
committee-
call and talk to.
Or they can talk to Susan,
Susan.
or they can
Well, they
reach
should do
out to the
both.
chair. Yeah, they should do both.
They should do both. They should
So,
be, they
But
they should-
initially,
yeah.
maybe talk to Susan, and then
Yeah.
if they're still interested.
Yep.
And then attend a meeting.
Thanks, Susan.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, textile clothing, recycling, you have to reach out to Simple Recycling. On our consent agenda, Brandy, you had something you'd like to pull?
Yes, so I'm
Okay.
going to pull item B, which is vote to post the approved executive session minutes from 1:17. we still have some, the versioning hasn't quite worked out yet, so we're gonna pull that and.
I'm sorry, what was that, Brandy? I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, Joe. So the executive session minutes, we're gonna pull that.
From the
Item
consent
B
agenda.
from the consent agenda. It's still, the version that was sent out in our packets isn't the correct version, so we'll correct that and we'll approve that at the next meeting.
Okay.
So if I can get a motion to accept the consent agenda minus item B.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Mignani?
Aye.
Keegan?
Aye.
Bennett? Kinsman?
Aye.
And Greaves, aye. So the consent agenda passes. Those of you who want to go to TJ's, they have their approval now for their marathon day. And Wine Empire has a number of single-day licenses for things at Corner Spot and all other fun stuff. So we're getting ready for summer.
You know, I speak to about TJ's just because
Yeah.
John did come and
Yeah,
he said he
thought
didn't
he had
have
to be here in person.
Yeah, John Tomaz from TJ's, and I just wanted to recognize how supportive they are of all town activities. I know personally how supportive they've always been of school functions, sometimes, for the teachers, and always, doing the best they could at such reasonable prices for us. And so, but they truly are very supportive of everything that goes on in town. So thank you. And John is, he's out there delivering the food and everything else. So anyway, so thank you to the Tomaz family.
Okay. Moving into town manager's report. Michael, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. So I'll start with the FY26 budget update. So just remind everybody, I'm sure you have it marked on your calendar and you got your alarm set for Saturday for our tri-board meeting with the school committee and the finance committee. I should tell you that we'll be joined by two members of our finance team. Well, Cindy Sincata was at our last one, which was the treasurer collector, and then Steph Clifton, who is our assistant town accountant currently, will also be joining us as well. So it'd be nice to have them in attendance. We've got some updated data that was requested at the last tri-board meeting that we'll present to all the boards, including some of the more revolving fund like information for general government. I know Jim in the school department put together a good presentation with a number of pieces of information that are helpful, and so we'll try to provide the same. Jim and I have spoken a bit, and the school committee is still working on their budget, I think, and still finalizing their budget. But I do expect it to be a little bit more than what we have programmed in there for right now, which, again, when you take all of our general fund revenue and expenses together, we're currently facing a deficit of 1.7 million. So that number could go up a little bit. That being said, we do have a number of resources that we can use from one-time funds to look at potentially plugging that gap, including similar to what we did last year, utilizing the Special Education Stabilization Fund, which you did see in the warrant. We do have a placeholder for, as well as the overlay surplus, which is, I believe, Dawn's going to go to the Board of Assessors next week and ask for that, as well as ARPA funds. So we should, just to go back a little bit, I know we had talked about, what things would look like with like a 10% cut, and we started doing that exercise, and it was just absolutely, you can't do it. We don't necessarily have enough discretionary, resources in there, or discretionary revenue or expenses, I should say, to make that work. So that's just kind of a bigger overall snapshot. I really just wanted to discuss how we're going to set up the discussion for Saturday. And does anybody have any questions?
Michael, I do, if you don't mind, Madam Chair.
No, go ahead, Joe.
If we start utilizing those stabilization funds, could that have an impact on our bond rating at some point, if the S&P looks at it and says, oh, geez, you're using these monies, you're not being physically sound with respect to your finances. Is that something that could affect our bond rating?
Yeah, absolutely. If you recall, I was a little bit concerned about it last year. And Jen, were you on that bond rating call? It was,
Yes.
yeah, I had to do a little fancy footwork. And we talked about all the great plans that were happening in Ashland that hopefully got them concentrating on that. And we're very lucky in that we did get reaffirmed at AAA after that call as well. But yes, Joe, the more times we do it, the less favorably the bond rating agencies look at that.
Thanks, Michael.
Which, as you, I think, are going to point out, the higher the bond rating, the higher the interest rate. And so, taxpayers ultimately end up paying more.
I mean the other way around, right? The higher the bond rating, the lower the interest rate?
Oh, gosh, sorry.
That's okay. We
That's-
are paying attention, Michael.
Hey, I could be treasury secretary.
I was going to change it to let's use worse and better.
Yeah.
There you go. There you
Like I said, I
go.
could be treasury secretary now. I do have one more piece of information that we haven't really discussed in depth just because, we only recently received the money, the funds, but we did get some guidance from the Department of Revenue on how to apply or how we could apply the money that we received from the Inflation Readjustment Act, where they monetized the tax credits and so made municipalities eligible to receive funds based on energy efficiency improvements that they included in their projects. And unfortunately, it is very limiting. It was something that I was hoping we could potentially use as a revenue source for a number of things, but it turns out that really we're only able to apply it to debt service payments that are made on behalf of those respective buildings. So we have very little flexibility. There is a little piece of flexibility that we could potentially utilize to, help with the budget if that's the direction we choose to go in. But right now, it's not looking very good.
Are you referencing the tax credit that we're going to get?
Correct.
Right.
Okay, but we
Yeah.
still haven't
Right.
even received it. Is that true or false now?
No, we have, Claudia.
Oh.
We
three-
had the letter and then now we've actually received the payment.
So $3.2 million?
It's I think 3.325.
Okay,
It
but
can-
it can only be used towards the debt on the buildings?
Correct.
That would be the debt of the school and the public safety building?
That is
Correct.
correct.
Okay.
Does it have to be used proportionately, or can it be used any way you wanted? In other words, if we,
That's a good question, Claudia. And I've asked for clarification, but I'm assuming it would need to be done proportionally.
So would that possibly go back to taxpayers as far as like a credit?
It could, my understanding is it could go, so we still have some stuff to bond. So instead of bonding it, we
Okay.
could potentially use this to pay down
Gotcha.
some of that other debt. There's other things that are being discussed, so.
Okay.
But yeah, the idea is that it will go toward the funding of.
In one way, shape,
in
or
one way,
form.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the debt
So it's
service
just-
in relation.
so it would be interesting, though, to consider how best, right,
Yes,
to use it in
Yes.
terms of, do you pay down what you could have to borrow in the future? Or is there a way to
pay
do s-
down
pay down-
current stuff that's already bonded.
Right.
Which I think there's some rules and regulations, right? Could you make an early payment? So I don't think we have all the information tonight to have the discussion, but I know Michael and people are looking at that, so we'll have a discussion about that
Okay.
at some point.
Okay.
Yep, okay.
And one more thing, just about the budget too. I did reach out to Superintendent Adams at one point with the closure of the Department of Education, or
Potentially imminent,
potential
yeah.
closure, and regarding how much money we get from the federal government for our schools. And he did respond, we get about $1.1 million in federal funding. Basically, it's mostly, some of it, about $250,000 is in money based on economics, and the rest is about 750 is special education dollars. You know, and supposedly, even if the Department of Education is closed, that that money will be filtered through to the communities in some other way, shape, or form, but certainly nobody knows how or
It's-
when or everything else, because right now things are being done prior to putting plans in place
Right, they're just doing stuff and then figuring it out
and then figuring it
afterwards.
out, so.
Yep. So it's gonna be an interesting.
Madam Chair, one last question with respect to state funding. Have
Sure.
we received any notification or any potential updates as to what the cherry sheets are going to look like?
Yeah, they're out. The cherry sheets are out.
Okay,
I think we have a slight increase, but
Yeah.
we don't know if they'll be able to follow through on that.
okay, that was going to be my next question. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I will, just a little bit of information on that. Or, nothing absolutely firm yet, but typically what happens is the governor releases his or her budget, and then, of course, the House takes it up and issues their own budget, followed by the Senate. And typically, like I said, the governor releases a certain number for local aid to cities and towns, including school aid. And the House and the Senate consecutively usually raise that a little bit. And so that's something that we've actually kind of expected over the last few years. We've been given news that we should not be expecting that this year. So it looks like what the governor's numbers are going to be, or potentially what we're going to end up with.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other budget questions for now, or? Okay, we'll get to discuss it in full detail on Saturday. Project update, Michael? Priority projects?
Just having technical difficulties here, but I'm good now here.
Okay.
So
Pond
yeah,
Street?
Pond Street. Yeah, Pond Street. So they haven't really got fully up and running yet. The asphalt plants didn't open up until yesterday, but they are still planning on getting the work finished by fall of this year. And really, they were able to do work in getting the wires and the poles moved a little bit more quickly than what they had originally anticipated, or what they had initially signaled, I should say. But really, a lot of the work now needs to be done around Spyglass Hill, including some stormwater work and some stormwater work, maybe a little bit more engineering, just some tweaks on a few things. But again, they should be finished by fall of 2025.
Michael, do you know what work is being done on Elliott Street as you head toward the intersection from downtown toward 126? Any idea? There's been utility work. Okay, you're not sure. Okay. I couldn't tell if it was town or someone else, but
It's all dug up in front of the, right on the edge of the road, across from the condos, but on the other side,
Yeah.
so on the, all those
Oh,
buildings.
they might be doing some of the stormwater work. Are you talking about like on Spyglass Hill?
no, on Elliott Street as you
Yeah.
head,
Before
from
Shaw's,
from Fruit Street before Shaw's on the left-hand side.
Like across from Meeting House, across
Yeah.
from Mountain Gate.
Gotcha. No, I'm not aware of that right now.
Okay. Anyway, I've been caught in traffic there a couple times, so. Okay. Next is Warren Barn?
Yeah, the Warren Barn, Jen and Claudia have been doing a lot of the work on this. They have recently released their 90% designs. And Jen, is there anything else you wanted to?
No, just a couple other things we're sort of working through with our department heads just to make sure that everything, like in terms of Board of Health or fire, are being addressed in these design plans before they, complete them. And then we're trying to finalize the lease between the town and the college. So sort of still working there. But it's getting definitely closer. It's exciting.
So another question, it looks like Framingham State is doing some work either on the parking lot or I'm not sure what, I've seen some like
Yeah, they're
wetlands
doing,
barriers going up, and they're doing some work, and it's not the barn itself, it's like next to it.
They're
yeah,
doing,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, they're doing some work, I believe, on sewage, right? They're trying to, from down in the cabins down across, and next
Oh,
to the.
okay.
And
Okay.
basically, they have a pumping station down there, and they're
Oh,
tying into the pumping station that pumps up to Chestnut Street. Is that right, Jen? Is that what you understand?
Mhm.
And,
okay, so they're tying into the sewer?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
and Jen, I want to thank Jen for our representation at the meetings. I haven't been able to attend the last couple. I did thank you for forwarding the plans to me. It does look, I know I had raised some concerns about that the only doors were the, kind
big
of big
ones,
barn
yeah.
doors. I did notice, Jen, I'm sure you noticed, I think it's on the north side that they put they put in a single door.
Mhm.
So it had one single door on the far end, and then they put another, then there's the barn doors, and then there's one more.
Yes.
I mean, I
Okay.
don't know what you think.
Well, yeah, they were sort of thinking about that as like a peek. They kept calling it a peekaboo door, meaning like it would actually be part of a open. So when the weather is nice, you could open it, but when it's not so nice, or they need other, there's any reason that you'd want to just have a smaller entrance. That's so they have. I think it's supposed to function as both, but honestly, I haven't had a chance to really dive into those 90% designs. We just got those just the other
Yeah,
day.
and I, to tell you the truth, a lot of it, when I look at it, is,
Yeah.
yeah, not, I wouldn't be able to add any clarity for anyone.
They're pretty pictures.
There you go. Good.
Pictures weren't even that pretty, Mike. I was hoping for some color pictures.
Yeah,
and-
I've got low standards, Claudia.
Yeah,
So-
and it's like, all right, and could you, I need a compass on there too, I mean,
Where's north?
Yeah,
Well, you
'cause
tell me what north is, but what does that mean? Yeah.
show me where like Henry's little tavern is, and then tell me where everything is from there. So, but in any case,
Great. Well, thank you
That's
for
my
following
problem.
up on that, Claudia, and keeping us on track. And
Yeah, I
Jen,
would.
thank you,
I just
Jen.
I just have to share, just another reason why we do this work, right? So I was at one of my community center coffees recently. We had a local official stop by with one of her young kids, and so the subject of the rink came up, and one of her other kids had learned how to skate there over the winter. So not only did she learn how to skate, she had drawn and developed a whole storybook about learning how to skate. And so
How cool is that?
yeah, so I'll have to share it with everybody. I did share it with Dr. Hamill, just because he's the one who was really kind of pushing this rink, and I was like, oh, it'll never do well, right?
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. So
it's very quaint. I have to say, I was up there a couple of times. My grandchildren have been up there several times, and they had a fire pit. And you could really, I was
And light
thinking,
at night, and
you
yeah.
could go in, yeah, it was all lit up. It really looked like something from my youth. And as adults, you could go into Henry's and have a little cocktail and while your kids were skating. Because the fire pit didn't throw that much heat.
Wow. Wow, there's 100 things we could say right now.
Yes, yes. Well, just
and Joe, you'll probably say 99 of them.
No.
anecdotally, I don't know if you remember, Michael, but at some point this summer, a resident came up to us and said, we need to do more things like Gilmore Girls. If you know that
that's
show,
right.
right? Do you remember that, Michael?
Yes.
And I think about when I saw the skating rink, and my girls, when they were both home over the holidays, they went up there and they skated and they took video and stuff. And I'm like, so that's sort of like that. It's that community, and it wasn't downtown with the gazebo and everything, but it was still something. So it's
Hey, our
great to have
downtown's
that.
getting close to it as well.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, it was
Star
great to
Column.
have that. And once people know about it next year, it'll get even more use and stuff. So
One thing they have to do, though, I think, and I know the plans are to eventually rent skates.
right,
Because so many kids, when I was a kid, everybody had a pair of
Right.
skates. That isn't the case anymore. If
Yeah.
you're not,
yeah,
um,
yeah. Ours were dug out of the basement when they.
so.
Great, okay. One last project update, Michael, Upper Charles Trail. We chatted a little bit about it when we were talking about the land taking, but where are things at with that, please?
Yeah, so we do, like you said, I was gonna expound a little bit more on the land taking if we didn't have a chance to do it during the warrant, but Jen and Diane have been working with the committee on the RFP. Jen, this is what, like the 10,000th RFP you've done?
Gosh,
Not quite, but yeah,
thank you, Jen.
It feels like it. So,
sure does.
but that's continuing to get worked on and refined, and yeah.
And Michael, that RFP is for the design, correct?
That is correct. I'm sorry. That's a good point. The 25% design for the entire trail, I should
Right.
say. And, with the hope that if everything goes relatively smoothly, relatively being the operative word, in terms of the design, we'd be able to get that project on the TIP, Transportation Improvement Plan.
Which we don't know if that'll still be here in 3 years, but.
That's a good point. So.
Because that's a
But if
federal
it is,
program.
hopefully we'll be
Yeah.
in a place in a position to take advantage of it.
Okay.
And,
Any
so
other-
one last thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, unless anybody had any questions on
Questions?
the
No?
trip.
Okay. Go ahead, Michael. You're good.
Oh, okay. Just one last thing. I think this the second annual Linklusion Run event is happening on Sunday morning, starting at 9 o'clock. I think Jamie and Siegel Marks, or I'm sorry, that's her maiden name. Jamie and Stephen Marks, their little son Lincoln. He's just such a terrific little kid, and he's inspired like really this whole movement. And we're going to have a pretty sizable contingent of people on Sunday morning at the community center. I think the last update I received was about 500.
Wow.
500 racers, if you will. So great, congratulations to them, and congratulations to everybody. And hopefully we'll see you there on Sunday morning. And if you can't make it there, I think there's going to be a little get together at Clover Road afterwards. So it should be busy again.
Great. Okay.
They have a fundraiser at a local restaurant.
Well, if you find it, share it so we
Yeah,
all know.
yeah,
That'd be great.
sorry about
That's
that.
okay. Good. Okay. With that, we will go to board reports. Joe, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Madam
Mix it
Chair.
up a little.
Yep, not a problem. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of quick things. Ashland Day is out and started again. We sent out applications for booths not too long ago. We're discussing the Summer Concert Series program, which would start the last week in June, and it'll run right through the second to last week in August. So we're working on that with Mike Dugan, planning the bands and everything. It'll be every Tuesday evening from 7 p.m. And then in August, they start at 6 p.m. The pavilion will be available. We'll be opening up after the 17th, after the 14th. The water will be turned on, and we'll be having the restrooms will be available, and the AD committee will continue maintaining that area for the residents as well. The Railway Traffic Study Committee will be meeting on the 25th, and we'll be having our another meeting with Steve Greenberg and the Affordable Housing Trust next week to go over some things. And one of the questions I'm going to ask is with the new ADU bylaw that's coming in, I was wondering if that could be considered low-income housing, and could those units be added to our side of the ledger? So and I don't know if anybody said, but ask that question or not, but I'm going to ask it and see if Lisa can give us a.
So Joe, I know that's being talked about as to if those accessory dwelling units will actually count toward your housing stock.
Yeah.
And then if they are, then you have to increase, to get to 10%,
Yep.
it could be harder because if
Gotcha.
if 50 homes add
Yep.
accessory dwelling units. So I know that there are some people asking the question, are those accessory dwelling units counted as housing stock?
Gotcha.
So there's a
Okay.
lot of questions around it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
would think there would have to be a deed restriction on the property if it was going to be,
If it's going to be affordable, there'd
Affordable.
have to be a
Yeah,
deed
which
restriction.
might be
Which I
compli-
don't know that they can do with an
it might be
ADU.
very complicated with an
Yeah.
ADU.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point, Brandy. Thank you. And that's all I have, Madam Chair. And again, thank you to everybody who reached out and well wishes and speedy recovery. We're almost there. Give me
Good.
another week or two and I'll be back to,
Do what you need to do, Joe.
I'm working on it. It kind of bothers me that I can't be there in person to do the things that I need to do, but we're getting there.
Good.
So
Okay.
thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Joe. Makita?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Let's see, like many of us, I got a chance to attend the volunteer breakfast, and that was a really special event. I think, first off, again, thank you so much to all of the volunteers here in town that make the town go, as it were. I think it was really great, though, to see not only folks who are being honored for their service, but folks were asked to bring along other people who are interested in volunteering for the town, and we got quite a few new folks at that breakfast. So that was an excellent strategy. So
Thank you, Rob St. Germain, for
Yeah.
having a discussion with me to make me think about it.
yeah, and that was really invigorating to see. So so that was great. We have not had another meeting of our subcommittee for boards and committees, select boards and committees. So we're working on getting another one of those scheduled so that we can put together some recommendations based on some of the research that we've done, and come back before folks to talk about next steps. And finally, I got a wonderful chance to attend Putts for Pages at the Ashland Library. Thank you, friends of the library, and thank you to all of the local businesses who sponsored holes and donated items. My spouse and I ended up going during the grown-ups part
Event, yeah.
in the evening, and it was simply delightful, and it was so fun to see folks out. So congratulations again on such a wonderful community event.
Great. Thank you, Makita. Claudia?
Well, I think the volunteer breakfast was very, very nice, and it was really a great opportunity to connect with a lot of people. So I do appreciate the effort that it takes to make that happen, and thank you for making that happen. And the ZBA meeting, I think I probably already spouted off about that a little bit. And Linclusion fundraiser, the local restaurant, is the Ale House, and it's tomorrow night. So if you get food from Ale House tomorrow night, there will be proceeds that will go to the Linclusion program. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Brandy?
So I think the only thing I wanted to add, because we talked about the comprehensive plan a little bit earlier when we were talking with Mark. Our next meeting for the comprehensive plan is the 17th, and we are going to hopefully have a finalized-ish list of strategies that we're going to look to start incorporating into like drafts. So I think that's the next phase of this comprehensive plan, is drafting this sucker. So so that is to come soon. One other thing, I attended an Eagle Scout Court of Honor for Nathan Gerlevin on the 23rd. It was actually a really special Court of Honor for me. I've known Nathan, oh my goodness, for at least a decade.
Wow.
He grew up with my son, and so I've seen him literally grow from a kid on the soccer field to this awesome kid who's going to Dartmouth in the fall.
Wow.
Like he is a great kid.
That's
so
nice.
And the Gerlevin family, we've known them for a long time. So it was special to be a part of that. Nathan had built, as his Eagle Scout project, this recycling center over at Ashland High School. which I think is really cool because, you know, the high school really didn't have anything like that. And so he worked with our sustainability coordinator, and he worked with the school committee and trying to get that project through, and then was able to finally get like the stamp of approval to get it put together in the fall. So kudos to Nathan, and you know, just, you know, I'm always impressed with our Troop 232. I mean, they really do some amazing things. I talked a little bit about legacy, and you start thinking about the legacy that troop has left on our community, and you think about it every time you go to the town forest and you walk across a bridge that they built, or you go to the Warren School and they had painted all those classrooms. There was a bench and some work done at Stone Park for Tommy King's Eagle Scout project, and then obviously like Nathan. And so these last forever. These changes are like the impact that these kids and the community that they build is so impressive. So we're lucky to have such a great group of scoutmasters and kids that are just, you know, wanting to serve our community. So just thank you to Nathan. And
I don't know for sure, but I believe I've been told that our troop 232 here in Ashland has one of the highest percentage of boys that become Eagle Scouts.
That's absolutely
in
correct.
the state. I believe so. I've heard that a few times. And with the number of Eagle Scouts, now I have to say that we haven't heard about all of them as often since Merle's passing. I mean, she would keep us really informed. So Claudia, when you were like, you didn't know about this one, I think you knew because you know the family.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
figured.
yeah. So, but the number of Eagle Scout ceremonies that we have been able to participate, I know Joe has done quite a few of them. I've done a few early on, but I don't know, maybe we can make a connection with the troop again to make sure we hear about more of them.
yeah, it tends to be now like the families of the boys put the event together.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a little bit harder.
Yep.
But we can figure out maybe
I think
a
we
way
should
to
figure out a way,
connect.
yeah, because it's, as you said, it's such a
Yeah.
great thing to acknowledge and.
Even invite them here.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
that would
gonna
be a great
say,
thing to do
you know,
as
we
well.
should go through the
Recognize them
Scoutmasters
here.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great idea.
and do that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Madam Chair, if I may, real quick.
Go ahead, Joe.
Piggyback Brandy. This Sunday, to support Troop 232, there is a pancake breakfast at the VFW. And
Okay.
I wasn't sure if you're going to report that or not, Yolanda, but I just wanted to
I was
reference
not,
that.
Joe, so I'm glad you did.
So I just want to let everybody know that. And I do have a contact, and it's Mrs. Carmichael, Maureen Carmichael.
Well, maybe you can reach out to her, Joe, and make sure
And
that
I-
as these are being set up, we
Yes.
can, you know, select board at or through Susan or somehow that we can
Absolutely.
be aware of these things happening so we can recognize them appropriately.
Yep, and that will happen for sure.
Great, okay.
All right, thank you.
Good. A couple of things that I have done and a couple of things that are coming up. So on Friday, March 21st, I attended the WEMO event. That is Women Elected Municipal Officials, where we probably had about 60 or 65 women who are all elected officials in different positions from the whole state of Massachusetts. And the speaker was Catherine Clark that came in. I was very impressed with how she approached some of the questions regarding what's going on at the federal level. And I was pleased to see recently we received an email that they were able to stop some of the predatory banking things that the GOP was trying to pass, so that was good. But it was just a great event. And then last Friday on the 28th, I was able to participate in the Metro West Regional Collaborative / SWAP legislative breakfast. So those are two groups from the MAPC, Metropolitan Area Planning Council. We came together and we had our legislative event where we had 5 legislators. We had Senator Eldridge and then 4 state reps, 5 state reps. And one of the big takeaways for me was when Senator Eldridge said, if you look at our state budget, because of some of our healthcare funds and a few other things, 16 to 20% of the Massachusetts budget comes from the federal government. So if we're seeing those cuts, and everyone's feeling pretty good about 20, we're going to finish out 25 okay, and maybe even into 26, but they're not sure about 26. So they are being very aware, and it was just a really good, honest conversation. And one of the other takeaways was one of the reps was Rep. Kate Donahue. I forget which area she addresses. And she said, because one of the questions was, what can we do? And she said, here in Massachusetts, we are pretty fortunate that we're a little stronger. We are having these conversations. She said, the other thing you can do is if you have family members who live in other states, talk to them, get their permission to write letters to their federal representatives and senators on their behalf to let them know you're not happy with what's going on. Because here in Massachusetts, our senators know, our reps know that we're not happy. But reach out to people in other parts of the country, get the permission to, and she told the story of someone who wrote on the behalf of their mother-in-law who lived, I think, in either Alabama or Louisiana, and were able to write to their state, their federal reps. So if you're looking for ways to talk and tell people how unhappy you are with what's going on, that's one way to do it. So that was the other event. Couple things.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
was there any mention at that gathering about, there's another round of severe HHS cuts coming down from the federal government? Was there any mention about how that's going to impact the Commonwealth and in turn cities and towns at that gathering? Or
Not
no?
yet, because they're not sure. I mean,
Okay.
the other thing that was very clear from everyone was, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We're going to do what we can to shore up what we don't get, but it could impact us from federal government funding that is not sent through to the state. So, a couple things coming up. For the 495 Metro West Partnership is having their annual State House Day on Tuesday, April 29th from 11 to 1. If you've never been, it's a great opportunity to, one, hear from various legislators. It's at the State House. It's just a really interesting day. You get to have lunch with your state rep or senator, and you hear from a lot of conversation of what's going on. So you should have received the email, and if not, let me know, and you're interested, I can forward it to you. Then I think that's all I have. I was sorry to miss the Putts for Pages. At the library, I was at the Hopkinton Center for the Arts enjoying a local band called Radio Logic. So can't do everything, and some people were celebrating their birthday. So a great place to go and listen to some fun music. And with that, just a reminder, our next meeting is Wednesday, April 16th. We will have our senator and rep here. So that'll be a nice way. Senator Karen Spilka, Senate President Karen Spilka will be here, as well as Representative Jack Lewis, to give us an update on where things are at. So that's on April 16th. Then we have town meeting on May 7th. And then we have our second meeting in May, and then an election. So lots going on. It's going to be fast and furious, because I don't know about the rest of you, but I can't believe it's already April 2nd. So if there is nothing else, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Great. Roll call vote out. Magnani?
Magnani, aye.
Keegan, I.
Kinsman, I.
And Greaves, aye. Thank you all. Have a safe Easter, those who celebrate. Passover, those who celebrate. Be safe. Well, actually, we'll be back before that.
Yeah, we'll be back before that.
before all of
Yeah.
those.
Back before.
Happy Tax Day, the day before. Thank you all, and that wraps up this meeting for the Ashland Select Board on Wednesday, April 2nd. Have a great night.